All right.
So if some of you guys don't know, we are here with Bellator
What's up?
Champion
What's up?
Raufeon Stots. How
What's
goes
up?
it,
What's up?
sir? Live from Houston. How are you today? How's
Doing
training
good.
going for you?
Training's going good. I had a jiu-jitsu class earlier today. My homie Cameron Smotherman just left. He came over and had some healthy meals because he fights like a week after me. So
For you, we'll actually just jump into it. I know that you've done way more media for this fight than you've ever done for any fight in your life.
yeah.
Major media outlets saying yes to small podcasts such as myself. You're all over the place, man. I see you on absolutely everything. Has that been a distraction for you, or is it something that you thrive in and love to do?
Yeah, I don't mind talking. Yeah, so it is not a distraction. My training schedule is my training schedule. So like anytime I have interviews, it's like during my off time. Um, so yeah, I don't feel like it's a distraction just because, I'm
Not at
training
all,
like
mate.
normal.
Okay.
Yep.
And then for you, I know that training, last time we talked, there was a little bit of an adjustment. I know that you were training a little bit with Eric Nixick. You're training down at Metro as well, too, with
hmm
Yanez, and I see you training with Yanez all the time now. We don't have to get into particulars of it because it's really none of my business about
Rufus Sport.
Rufus Sports, sorry.
Yeah.
But Rufus Sports now, is that disbanded as far as, where you are, and now you're down at Metro and you're up with Nixick as well, too, at Extreme Couture?
Yeah, so as of now, I'm not like disbanded with Rufus Sport. I because I still talk to like we have no ill will like either parties. Like I'm still cool with all the coaches there. I'm still cool with Sergio. I just talked to or I just hung out with Coach Duke Rufus like 2 weeks ago at the Bellator event. At this point, I'm living in Houston because my I had a second kid and I'm closer to family here in Houston. You know, we got a little more help, and I eventually I wanted to move back to Houston just because that's where I'm from. And as far as like training, I think me and Sergio both know that we're gonna have to fight each other.
Yeah.
So I haven't like went back. I consider like I'm thankful for everything Rufus Sport has done for me, and I still consider myself, kind of a Rufus Sport fighter. But like right now, the situation is like a little, sticky. So and again, there's no ill will toward nobody there. We just I think both of us.
And yeah, I think I sort of worded it wrong. I meant like when I was saying disbanded, it seemed like the actual team itself, like there's a lot of guys that were sort of stretched out a little bit. So I was wondering if
Oh
the
yeah,
team itself was disbanded. But obviously for you, you can't really, fight in the same camp alongside your brother that you
yeah,
eventually may have to fight. You got to do what you got to do for your family and for yourself and your career. And as we talked
yeah.
about last time, make that money, right?
Exactly, man. Yeah, that's what I'm doing it for.
And
Making
you
money
guys
for
have
the
turned
family.
this into a money fight, man. You guys have talked a mad amount of shit. We have two major
Yeah,
shit talkers. You guys are similar, and don't get mad at me,
yeah,
in
yeah. No,
some
you're good.
respects, but
Yeah,
very different in other respects. Because I can listen to you
yeah.
shit talk all day long, and I want to get you on the podcast whenever I can. But I can't listen to Danny Sabatello talk. And
Yeah,
talking to other Bellator fighters, I've said it before. I'm not a fighter. The man would wipe the floor with me and whoop my ass, but the
yeah,
reality is he's cringy as hell.
yeah. It's just
How do
annoying to
you
talk,
avoid
right?
being
Yeah,
distracted by the cringiness and maybe overlooking a high level pedigree of wrestling with this cringiness and with what I mean? How do you do that and just stay focused on the prize?
I mean the goal is still like to beat the shit out of this dude. So for me, the shit talking just add more stakes, which makes it more fun. Like so, it's easier for me to get up and train, and it's easier for me to put some intent behind punching a bag or doing the monotonous things I have to do, running on the treadmill or running, what I mean, after practice and doing the extra things. It puts I could put more intent behind it because he's been talking shit, so I got a point to prove. Coming into this fight. Yeah, so it just makes that more fun for me to like do the things that I'm supposed to do. As far as like overlooking him, I wouldn't say that I'm overlooking him because I do my research, on all my opponents, and I'm at the point where I realize everybody when they fight me, they have to fight up. He's also fighting for $1 million. He's fighting to stay in this tournament. So I have to look at, if I was in his shoes, what would I do? You know, I would train really hard and I would try to exploit, you know, what weaknesses I have with what strengths he has. Unfortunately for him, the only strength he got is his trash talk and his wrestling, you know. So yeah, so I mean, we address, you know, the things that I need to be aware of, you know, in the fight. And of course, you know, he has time to like get better, but you know, I just don't feel like he's humble enough to put himself in positions to be better. You know, I think he's at a gym where all he can do is win with his wrestling. Otherwise, he's gonna take some licks from some people. So, you know, that's all he's. And, I mean, you can see it in his fights. You can see, you know, what his training habits are because of his fight. Somebody said Mondo.
And do you find that's important for you? Like putting yourself in some of the worst situations? Like, is that
Yeah.
yeah? So you're
Yeah,
putting yourself in, like, you don't think you necessarily go to the worst case scenario where you'll be on bottom, but you're going to train from that
yeah.
position nonstop?
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I look at when I'm going into a fight, I look at a fight like me starting in a bad or me I'm always ready to come back from a bad position or come back from a bad, you know, round or a couple rounds. Like that's how I look at it. I look at the fight like everything could be going right for the other guy and I need to find a way to make something happen. You know what I mean? So and that's just how I train. Like I put myself in bad positions. You know, I'm humble enough to like start in bad positions or let people you know, get bad positions. I'm and learn and grow as a martial artist. You know, you have to put yourself because also I've trained around the world now. No, not around the world. I've trained around the US or whatever at a lot
Yeah.
of big gyms. And I noticed that if I wanted to, I could dominate most positions. I could not, you know, experience being in mount or somebody on my back if I wanted to because I'm good enough to not be there. But if I don't, you know, expose myself to those things, then I won't know how to come back from them. I don't won't know how to get back to good positions and things like that. So I don't just focus on winning, especially in training. I focus on being better, being a better martial artist. And I don't think
Well,
that's
and
a
don't be too
bad
humble
thing.
there. You're saying like all the gyms around the United States, but if you look at the big gyms in the States now, it's pretty much like training around the world, I would imagine. The gyms have everybody from around the world in them anyways at this point. Every
Yeah,
style, every look. So
yeah,
you really get a good
yeah,
gauge, I'm sure yourself, the barometer of where you stand when you're in a
exactly,
room. So all
exactly.
right, man.
Yeah. So yeah.
And the one thing that's this is sort of a flip to one of your opponents potentially coming up because I want to. You don't have to give me a breakdown necessarily, but I sort of want your take to see who you think's going to actually pull this out. So we got Magomed coming up against Patchy Mix, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of Mix. But the one thing about him that is similar to Sabatello is there is a little bit more of a one-dimensional scenario to him, right? Like he does have some good
Mhm.
stand up, it's decent, but it really is about when he gets you to the ground, it's that backpack. When he gets you to the ground, he wants to try to hold on to something and work towards that submission. And then we have a guy that you're pretty aware of what he can do in the cage. You fought Magomed before. We've talked about this before. We cashed big dog in that fight.
Let's go.
But now you're probably going to be the favorite if it comes down, and we're not going to look past. But out of those two, who do you think probably takes that fight, and then who do you go on to the fight in the championship fight?
You know, I've been going like back and forth with that fight. You know, I feel like that fight is such a toss up depending on like, who shows up and like what the game plans are going in. You know, at first thought, because of what you said, you know, Patchy Mix is more one dimensional. I see Magomed being more well rounded. I was going with Magomed, you know, and the way he performed last outing. But then I look at Patchy Mix, and Patchy Mix has improved, you know, from when I first came to Bellator. You know, I feel like he was a guy that would just look mean and kind of walk you down and try to get to your back, you know. But what he was able to do with Horiguchi, like cut him off and like you know hold his own on the feet, you know, at least to you know get him down and control him. I didn't expect him to do that, so I think if he, you know, he has a like a good game plan, I feel like I'm, and I feel like he might be the underdog. I don't know what the odds are.
If he can work maybe a scramble on the ground and try to catch
Yeah,
a submission, that's going to
and
be the biggest thing. Because Magomed's
that's
good
the
with the
other.
scramble, right? You know that.
Yeah,
yourself?
I think Magomed is good with the scrambles, but I don't think Patchy is the person that you want to like scramble with, you know.
No.
Given his length and his skill set on the ground, I don't think Patchy is the one, you know. Like he got away. I got him in a rear naked choke. I didn't finish him in a rear naked choke, but I got him in that position. I think I got to his back like twice. Like that's not positions that you want to give Patchy because Patchy is, you know, he's deadlier
No.
there, you know. So
If he gets one
yeah.
hook in, it's not a good
Yeah, it's like
situation.
it's at least around, you know. You know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that, I mean that's the threat there, right? If you can get on him early, wear him down a little bit, it's definitely interesting. But for
Yeah.
you, obviously you see your hand raised in your next fight. Smash Sabatello, move on to the championship. The champ moving into the championship. It's sort of ironic when you have a champ going into a tournament. It's sort of weird for me, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
a sort of a sidestep here, actually. Some news out of Ontario, Canada.
Yeah.
So the Ontario government has decided that they are not allowing betting on the UFC as of today. So
What?
I don't know how finite it is yet, but they're working on it right now. And this is a result of the Derek Minner fight. So not to get into anything too direct, but I think it's because of the on pending investigation.
Yeah.
The statement that came out basically said that because more or less employees, any employees at any event at any time, up to the custodians can bet on fights with potential inside information, they want to ban it. Which leads to a
Wow.
sticky situation for, I mean, even doing podcasts like this, but I think that it only gets greasy when you're really digging for greasy insider disgusting info. Like, you know, when it gets just like dirty.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about
Yeah.
breaking down fights, but when you see
Yeah.
guys that are actually trying to find out stuff and
Like
you know,
right.
dig
And
for
spot. Yeah.
injuries, that's just,
Yeah.
you know, it's not ethical at all in any which way, right?
Right.
But definitely interesting. And what's your thoughts on that? Because it is sort of the Wild West. We got to be honest, right? With all the betting apps, MMA
Yeah.
being a new thing that we bet on, it's like, you know, it's like chronic stands or marijuana stands popping up everywhere
Yeah.
initially
Yeah.
before everything was fully regulated in certain places, like in Ontario. So it's the Wild West, and we don't really know the rules fully yet. But what's your thoughts on that? You know, I'm sure that you have people that are betting in gyms, fighters that bet in gyms. You don't have to get
Yeah.
too in detail. But what's your
Yeah.
thoughts on
I
the
mean,
whole idea itself?
yeah. I mean, I'm like not as familiar with like the betting scene and like what's legal and not legal, I guess. Just because I don't do any betting. But like I feel like it adds fun to the to the fight to the fight itself. It brings more eyes. You know, I like the betting aspect of fighting. Like I hope that's not something that will ever be taken away. As far as like the insider information and like the things like fighters, you know, throwing fights or doing like that. I mean, I've never seen a fighter that I train with. I've never seen a fighter, you know, commit to fighter coaches or anybody commit to like
And you
losing
don't even have
fights.
to, you know, like for
You know what I
yourself, you
mean?
don't even have to speak to that because I don't want to get greasy with you like that. But
Yeah.
it's just sort of a weird situation where we find ourselves where it's one of those gray area times
Yeah.
where, you know, now I mean Ontario betting shut down. I'm sure there'll be other markets that'll jump in kind as well too while this goes on.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. The UFC sort of jumped with that restriction for its employees. Well, I think it was a week before that happened.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a
Like a week
weird
before.
weird
Yeah.
scenario, but I mean, it definitely is important. I think you need to have some sort of regulation to keep things, you know, above board and keep the people that are looking to try to game the system at bay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're a fighter. You're a guy that wants to go out there make money. You can also make money on the side. Having, you know, every fighter has a gambling sponsorship now, a gambling app sponsorship,
Right.
right? It's going to be intertwined in the
Right.
sport. So I think they're going to have to sort this out
Right.
and figure out and make it clear for fighters as to what. And I imagine Bellator will talk to you guys as to what, you know, the parameters of things are. But definitely an interesting time that
Yeah.
we find ourselves in. When you're getting ready for a fight and you're around family or when you're away from family, as a final question for as far as training, what do you think
Yeah.
is the better thing for you? To be closer to your family, to be around the kids, to be, you know, being able to go home and get home cooked meals, or is it to be better to be away sometimes and be solely focused on the fight?
You know, so these last two camps I've been away. Um And I feel like it has its benefits and its like downfalls. So for me, being away, like I get better sleep. Just naturally, I'm in the bed by myself. I don't nobody's like waking me up and stuff like that. I also have more time to like reflect and like think about, time to myself. Cause I also feel like fighting is kind of a lonely sport. Cause you're in the cage alone, you have to be one with yourself. You have to be like kind of one with your thoughts and like in control of your thoughts. So I think it's helpful for that. Um, the downfalls is just like well, for me and having like little kids, like I'm missing out on some formative years, and that don't like sit well with me. Missing out on like the formative years of my child's life. Even though like I'm sacrificing for them, I just feel like that's like a huge that's a huge sacrifice for the return I'm getting. Like yeah, I'm getting like better sleep throughout the camp, and I'm getting like more like alone time. But for me, I can if I plan accordingly, I plan for kids, or plan my day like I should. I can do those things. I can do those things anyway. So I don't necessarily need to be away to be a better fighter or have a better camp.
Fair enough. So
And
it's
that's
more
just
just
me.
about the scheduling of time and making sure that your time is where it
Yeah,
needs to be.
it's a lot of where it needs to be. Exactly.
Okay. And then speaking on that, I don't want to take too much more of your time because I know that you want to get back with the family coming back from training. Um, if we look at a couple fights coming up, I know there are a couple fights were just announced. Just sort of your thoughts on them. We have Bader against Fedor, the rematch.
Crazy.
Thoughts on this
Crazy.
monster of a fight? Normally, what would be, if we look at a retired fighter, someone who's going to retire, we think that that's just automatically a loss. But when it's Fedor Emelianenko,
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
like one of the goats.
everything's on the
Like
table, right? So, what's your
exactly.
thoughts on this one? Bader, Fedor, does the Russian champ ride off into the sunset?
Man, I want to say Fedor comes back and you know, just because he's been the GOAT of the heavyweights, I feel like for a long time, and if anybody can do it, Fedor can do it. But he's going against Ryan Bader, who's I just feel like I feel like he's better. Even I mean, he beat him the time before. I feel like it's just going to be kind of more of the same. I
Younger,
think he
faster,
left.
stronger.
Yeah, like I don't think it's going to get any better. Fighting him what 2 or 3 years later, or maybe
Yeah,
even
something
more
like
than
that.
that. Yeah, I just don't think it'll be better for him this time.
Fair enough. And then another fight that's coming up is Nemkov against Romero. I had
Uh,
Anderson in the last fight, and
yeah,
it's just a shame the way that played out with Corey Anderson. The
yeah,
guy dominates Nemkov, in my opinion, in the last fight. It
yeah.
comes out, Nemkov
Crazy.
just adjusted, man. What an
Adjusted.
adjustment that guy made in that fight.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that fight, actually, and then jump into Nemkov Romero as a breakdown?
Yeah, I thought his game plan was beautiful. I thought his takedown defense and way he was yeah, his approach to the fight from before, and the adjustments he made. I thought they were beautiful, and I thought Corey fought a great fight. Um, yeah, I just think Nemkov was he was better that night. He was more prepared, to what was going to happen. And it's for him versus I don't see Romero beating Nemkov. The way he fought that last night, I just don't see him beating him. One reason is because I feel like he's so fast and strong for light heavyweight, and I feel like Romero's still like adjusting to that weight class of light heavyweight. He's putting on a little bit more muscle. I don't see him moving like he was moving while he was at middleweight. Um,
Yeah, I could
but
definitely see
yo,
Nemkov just working that jab, working a leg kick, just confusing him, working that lateral movement, and just
and
staying
and
away from that
and
power.
what's his name? Yoel has never been one to use his Olympic level wrestling. And that's one strength I would say he had over. or he has over in MCAR would be his wrestling. Yeah, and I just don't see him like using it. I think he has too much fun fighting. So he hardly ever
You
uses
like
it.
standing up too much, for
Yeah,
sure.
but yeah.
Any other thoughts that you have as far as the event coming up, as far as the training, how you're feeling? Just wanted you to take it away. Raufeon Stots, Bellator champion.
Hey, first of all, I want to shout out to everybody who came on here. Dirty Dez, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Who else was on here? Toka, what's up? Or Trigger, MMA Locker Room, my God with the taco meat, let's go. The Angel guy, been making my money off stocks, let's go.
Get him.
Hey man, everybody who tuned in, yeah, thank you. And then yeah, tune into this fight because I'm about to beat the shit out this kid, bro. And I can't wait. I'm already in his head, you know. He already like don't want to do no more interviews with me. So yeah, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to expose him and you know, go on to bigger and better things, you know. But I'm having fun. I'm having fun with this the build up and everything involved, you know. So I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna do my thing, man.
Well, you know that I'm not a journalist, so I don't need to be biased. I'm looking forward to seeing you whoop his ass and do what you got to
Let's
do.
go.
And Cash
Go.
will doing it.
I'm Raufeon Stots, Bellator champion, and tune into the Don't Tell podcast.
Thank you again for your time, sir. Look forward to seeing you get in there, do what you do best, and please put this man behind you so I don't have to listen to him talk anymore.
For sure, I got you, bro.
Thank you.